Okay, in this video I just wanted to look at external power for cameras and really just kind of getting started in that, because it can be a little bit overwhelming, if you're just kind of starting out and you don't really know sort of what bits you need, and it can be a little bit of a minefield, to be honest. So I'm using the Panasonic GH6 here, but as a kind of example, but you can follow this along with most sort of mirrorless cameras. So the first thing really, you're looking to, if you're using external power, you're looking to switch out the battery in the camera. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to need a dummy battery for the camera. So to do that, you'll need to know which battery your camera actually uses. In this case, I'm using the BLK22, which is the GH6 stock battery. If you're using an older camera, say like the GH5, I believe that uses the BLF19E. So it's a slightly different battery. So the sort of the dummy battery you get is slightly different, and some of them do work across each other, but you sort of need to be mindful that you're getting the right adapter. So for example, on the battery for this one, what you'll need is a DCC17 cable. So that's the one for the BLK22, and the one for the other battery that I mentioned is a DCC12, so it's sort of like an older version of this dummy battery. So that's kind of like your first thing really. You need the right battery to go into the camera. Sometimes if you buy an older version of a dummy battery, so say you bought the GH5 dummy battery for this newer camera, it can limit some of the modes and options in there. So like I say, just make sure you're getting the right one. Usually the descriptions for these dummy batteries will tell you exactly which cameras they're for and which cameras they should work for. So it's one thing to check out when you're buying the dummy battery. Obviously make sure you get the right one for the battery slot, and see if you can get one that will fit well into the battery holder, being able to close it. So some cameras will have this little kind of hole in the bottom. If you've got a hole like that in the bottom, you're going to want a cable that disconnects. If you've got a little gap at the bottom here, a full piece cable will be fine, because you can just slot the cable through at any point of it. So like the GH5 for example has just got like a little rubber strip where you can just run the cable out of, so you don't actually need a brake to kind of put the end of the cable into a hole. So just sort of be mindful of that, because there's nothing more annoying than just having the battery flap open. Like on this one, it doesn't actually detach very easily, so it's it's just a practicality thing really. If it means spending an extra £10 or £15 to get the right cable, I would just do it, to be honest. So the next thing, then you've got your dummy battery in the camera, and then it has to run out to a cable. So the next part of it really is, what are you going to use to kind of actually power everything. So there's lots of different types of batteries you can get. So you've got things like this one here. It's a plate adapter for Sony batteries. It probably would have been a good idea if I actually had a Sony battery out to put in it, but it's basically like a BLF adapter. So you just slot in a Sony brick battery into there, and that sort of powers it through that. We've got ones like this. This is a Vmount battery that is it's a dual D-tap. So this connection here is called a D-tap connection. I'll see if I can actually focus on it. So that is a D-tap, which you can use to sort of power various things really. You can power all sorts from D-tap connections, lights, cameras, you can do monitors, all sorts of things. And then with other ones you'll get like this small rig VB99's got a D-tap like the other one, but then also on the top we've also got a few other, I'll put it that way so you can actually see it, we've got a few other ports on there. So we've got jack ports, we've got 2 USB ports, USB-A, USB-C. So there's various different ways we can power things from this one. It's a bit more versatile than the other Vmount, but we'll go into it a bit more and explain why that may not be a problem, depending on sort of how you get set up. And the other option you've got is for external AC power, and personally for me that is my preferred choice. If I can ever plug the camera in, if I'm at an event, if I'm doing anything in a studio or at home, I'll definitely see if I've got the option for wall power, which in that case you'd be going out from a dummy battery. Again, you need to find the right one with the right connection for the power adapter that you want to use, but you'd literally just have it in two parts. You'd have your wall adapter that would have a like a jack connection. The jack connection from the dummy battery would plug into that, and then the dummy battery would go into the camera, and then you've just got a powered wall socket connection straight into the camera. And like I say, that for me that is really a preferred thing, but obviously it's not practical if you want to move around. So when you want to actually move around and do things, that's where kind of V-mounts and plate adapters and things come into play, because like I say, you're not going to be able to be plugged into the wall and actually move anywhere, so you kind of need that flexibility of being able to carry the battery around. And the V-mount part of it essentially is the way that these things lock together. So if you have a look on the back of the battery, we've got this piece here. If we pull up this one as well, you can see they're both the same. They've both got this same connection, and that's your V-mount connection. So it's works for this is just a basic set of rails with a V-mount connector on the back, and then we can just click that in and it just fits on the back, and then you can just push the clip and pull it back out. And then because it's a standard connection across the batteries, we should be able to just put that in. Some of these don't work exactly how you'd sort of expect. Some of them don't clip as nicely into there as they should do. That does click in, it's just not quite as easy to go in as the other one. But yeah, they should all basically fit onto something like that. So like I say, this is just a basic V-mount piece here. You can click it in with these screws, so it could go onto a cage, for example. It might not be very useful on a cage, but I've just got it, it's got a rails attachment on the bottom here, so I've just got it attached to a set of rails, and then the battery clips on the back, and then that sort of allows me to put the camera in and I can still see the screen, and I've got the V-mount on the back. So that's your kind of connection there, this V-mount part. And then at the bottom you'll also notice you've got this part here. So we've got the sorry, that's not in focus at all, is it? We've got this part here, the what's called the BP connection, and that connection essentially allows you to connect the battery to another adapter, so you can slot it into I don't actually use them, but because these newer types of batteries generally have got everything I need. This one actually has got USB connections on the top, which I didn't show before, but it's yeah, it has got additional connections. But what you can do, you can plug in V-mount batteries into adapters, and they might give you additional DTAP ports, they might give you jack ports, they might give you USB ports. They're basically just giving more flexibility to the battery. But I kind of like just having everything within the battery, so these for me, they just work without needing adapters or anything. So it depends what you're powering though. I'm working on a very small level here. I'll just be powering camera, monitor, maybe I'll be charging a couple of things over USB-C like mics and stuff, but it's it's very low level compared to what a lot of people would be doing. So yeah, the next thing really is deciding what is the battery going to power, and that is important because you need to know if the battery's powerful enough to actually do that. So like I say, for me this is all kind of small scale stuff, but if you're powering big sort of heavy lights, if you're powering big cameras, these batteries really are not going to do the job for that. You'll probably need bigger batteries. These are just 99 watt hour batteries, and you can get lots of different sizes of these. So yeah, that's a kind of a consideration. I mean, for my money, a 99 watt hour is fine for using a mirrorless camera, monitor, couple of extra accessories. You know, it's a good option. But like I say, for bigger cameras, it might not really do the job. But yeah, look, I'll give you an example of kind of how I could connect to these. So, like I say, I've got two sort of options that I'll use. So I've got the dummy battery, obviously, which I'll just connect into the camera. I'll put it through there just so I can show the battery till. And then the options that I kind of have, I have two different cables. So they came as two sets. You know, I've got the two dummy batteries. But I've got an option here. So this is a D-tap cable. So you can see we've got the D-tap on that side. And that was the one we were looking at on these, the D-tap connector. It's a simple connection. It's basically just goes in. There's one way you can plug it in, so it's not particularly difficult. You know, you just plug that in. There's no locking connectors or anything on this. It's just purely you just push it in, and then what I would do, usually, to be honest, actually, I would take the battery out and then connect this together, put that into there, and then with this battery, when I power it up, I generally get a bit of a sorry, the actual screen's not on. Oh, okay. Normally I get a readout on the front to give you some idea of the kind of outputs and things like that, but it's decided not to do that, so that's fine. Yeah, with these that I've got here, generally with the dummy battery, there are loads of different types of dummy batteries you can get. You know, you can buy kind of really kind of cheap off-brand batteries. There are lots of other brands out there, but I've been using these Kundal blue ones because I just like the fact that they seem to regulate the power well through the dummy battery. I like the fact they've got this break in the middle. They seem pretty well made, you know, they're pretty good quality cables. So for me, that's what I've been using. There's plenty of other options out there. I would just be very wary with very cheap batteries because the issue is that they don't tend to regulate power properly. So if you're going to use dummy batteries, just make sure that you know, you use sort of good quality cables and batteries. I mean, that would be my recommendation anyway. I mean, none of this is really recommended by any kind of camera manufacturer, so you just need to be a bit careful with what you're kind of doing. So you've got that as like I say, D-tap as one option. Again, it's just it's a really simple method to power it. We could just plug in the same thing to here. It's just slightly, it works a different way around in this. You can see the screens come on for that one, and then just hit the on button, and then we've got D-tap power again through to the camera. So that's quite a nice option there. And then the other way we can do it, just make sure obviously you're powering down your camera and giving it a couple of seconds to switch off before kind of disconnecting it, especially if you're recording, obviously. And if we undo this, the other type of cable, these, to be honest, are a little bit of a minefield. We've got jack connectors, and the jack connector I've got here is a 2.1mm jack connector, and again it just plugs onto the end of the dummy battery. As I say, the dummy batteries you buy, they might not have the option to do this, but that's why I like these ones, because I can switch them out quickly and use different things. You've got the option to, nope, this one doesn't actually have a jack connector, it's this one. So what you can do is plug it into, this is a 12 volt jack. I can plug it into the 12 volt jack in the top of there, and then hit the on button on the camera, and again we've just got power through there. So you can kind of see that there's a couple of different options and ways we can do it. The this one here, the Power Junkie, which is like a, again, it's like a Sony battery adapter. So you put the battery into here, and then it makes it into a plate with a few different options, USB-C and a couple of power options. This I can use the same cable in this, so I can put that into the 12-volt port. If I actually had a battery available, it would just power the camera through that. So you know, you can have a couple of different power options that can use sort of similar things. So that's quite useful across different cables. So the same cable can do the same thing. And in terms of, like I say, for depending on what you want to power, you'll need to work out what you need to actually get, because for me, I quite often, if I'm going to use a monitor, so as an example, I'll just use a cheap Field World monitor. But what you could do, you can plug in the monitor, and that will just work. So we've got the monitor plugged in and the camera. I'll just switch that off again in a second. What I'll actually do, let me just grab a HDMI port. Ideally, you know, have everything powered off while you're doing this, because it can sort of cause problems otherwise. So just have everything powered off, plug everything in, and then what you could do is switch the camera on. You can see we've got power to the camera. Switch the monitor on, and then what we should get is a blank screen because I haven't got the lens cap off. You can see we've got a little bit of the monitors running through there. So you can see you can power two things through one dummy battery if you've got the you know, a dummy battery and the right kind of cables and everything. So it's all sort of possible. It's just a case of having the right bits. And you know, you could even plug in like a USB lead or something into there as well to, you know, charge something as that's going. These batteries are quite sort of versatile. So it really is just a case of working out, you know, what you actually need, what you need to power, and just going from there really. Like I say, the most important bit is having the right dummy battery and having the right connections on your kind of Vmount, or you know, if it's on a AC power adapter or whatever it may be. And then the other thing with a lot of new kind of cameras, it might be that you sort of don't even need to go to the extent of this. You potentially, depending on what sort of camera you've got, you may even just be able to use, if we put the stock battery back into the camera. Starting to get a little bit messy. Let's just take that out. Close the door on that. It might be that if you've got a more modern camera, what you might be able to do is use a power bank even in the side of it, and then what you can do is actually just charge the camera whilst the camera's on. So you're utilising the internal battery but using USB power to kind of keep it running, and then, you know, you can just have a little hot shoe mount or something like that just to sort of keep the camera topped up as you go in. So I mean, that's really the main reason why you'd be using external power, because from the internal battery, you know, I'm getting about an hour, whereas from these I can easily get a few hours. So that's kind of the, you know, the benefit of using them and being able to power multiple things and not having to carry multiple batteries as well. But yeah, I appreciate this is sort of it's still quite a lot to take in, but I just kind of wanted to run through it and, you know, give a bit of an idea of, you know, why you might use it and which bits you might need. And, you know, if you need any help with it, or you've got any questions, just feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you like this video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, check out the Lumix playlist on this channel, and please subscribe.